Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. We've got major news regarding the JD Power and Palantir partnership. I'd say the biggest headline from the whole update is that OEMs will be able to combine their data confidently with JD Power's data. And of course, this is using AIP to leverage LLMs, of course, on top of that to extract value of these combined data sets. And there are many, many more pieces to this info. But first, if you're new to JD Power and Palantir, this is not a new partnership. This has been around for a while. They've been working together, starting with Foundry and setting up their ontology and just getting their data in order and those relationships. And they even presented how they were able to set up and succeed from this. They presented at a previous FoundryCon and also the latest AIPCon that took place not too long ago, with the latter showcasing how in just a few weeks, and this was right after they announced AIP, they were able to set up a quick prototype for consumer side, but also the business side of an application or an AI chat interface to help find the best vehicle for your preference. But then on top of that, it was also to locate the vehicle after you've decided on that. So it's great to get more information today, and make sure to check out the previous presentation there if you want to catch yourself up. Now, onto the article itself. This announcement is to let the industry know AI can be used to make things better for their strategic decision making, and this is for different points of the industry. So in the supply chain, all the way up to the OEMs and even the dealers, and to that customer experience. Now, the kind of data being leveraged is from incentives all the way to the customer experience data, because this allows a more holistic picture of what people are feeling throughout the process. Also, with the rise of electric vehicles too, they make note there's possible autonomous vehicles as well, that this is another big step in that direction to help develop actual capabilities. And this also can be regulation-wise, but also managing it in general. And as I mentioned before, this is touching everyone in the industry, because value can be found not only with them getting the data together and combining it, but also making sure it's in a secure manner and what is shared between not only JD Power, but all these different industries. So that's a little bit of my speculation there. So here are the specific use cases, though, they want to highlight. First is repair analytics. This one is probably the first thought that comes to my mind, or I think for most people's mind, when it comes to cars. Because if you can predict the maintenance needs of a vehicle or just know what's happening with it, especially with the internet and how this data can be seen by an expert over real time, you can warn consumers ahead of time that they can do some preemptive actions to save them money, which is probably the biggest driver, but also to prepare any dealerships in the area to actually be prepared on the kind of issues they expect to come into their shop. And in turn, this helps decide what kind of parts or services they need to staff for, and of course provide that in a better manner. Next, which is also related, are intelligent alerts. This is related to repair analytics, in my opinion, which builds on the real-time usage of the scenario above, but also on other things affecting any decision makers for these businesses, like vehicle-specific sales and competitive dynamics, or even macroeconomic trends. So as investors, we pay close attention to, let's say, interest rates and kind of the economic data that's coming out. But think of the everyday person, or someone who might just be focused on the distribution side of vehicles, someone focused on their own business to maybe fix cars. Maybe they aren't thinking about how interest rates can predict or be predicted to change the flow of customers to them buying or not buying vehicles. And of course, having any inkling can save you tons of money, because you're able to plan better and of course prepare yourself in order to have supplies or have the expectations of what's going to come next. Then for EV battery health analytics, the next one, this appears to be a product for the legacy OEMs, in my opinion, so not necessarily Tesla, where they're trying to catch up, and hopefully JD Power can be implemented across these car brands, catching up, not wanting to develop their own software needs when it comes to electric vehicles. So having something out of the box from a trusted source like JD Power can be leveraged in helping the overall transition to EVs, and of course this race to catch up to Tesla. And lastly, the digital journey optimized. Now for customers, I still think this is an archaic idea of pulling up to the dealership, getting a tour maybe, and not really knowing what you want and negotiating for their deal. But it's 2023 today, and everyone is coming in with their research, or even sometimes just buying a car online as possible now without ever even having to see it. And this is totally different from before. So to improve this customer journey, you need a 2023 solution as well, where JD Power is trying to help in this process with optimizing the channels that both the customer, but also the OEM and dealer can use to connect with each other. with some personalization, of course, to help push that deal through. So if you're able to exercise this between both sides and connect them together, this can really streamline the process and make things much easier for customers. Because think of the frustration if you've looked up all these details on a vehicle. However, it's not available in your area, or it's very far, or there's just a long wait time, just anything to make that experience difficult. This can help connect things so that everyone can have the supply, but also the demand meet together. So I think overall, this is great because now we have more detailed applications of AI that JD Power is going to use and leverage with their platform. At AIP Con, it was interesting, of course, just because it was so quick after AIP was announced. I know it said they only took them a few weeks to do this, but now that they've had some time to cook, it's overall showing great progress in my opinion. And the biggest news for myself as an investor is seeing that they already are integrating with several auto manufacturers for the strategic planning process. Now, what I envision from that is them getting a better handle on their data, because once they know what, where, and when to manufacture vehicles, and they know the who of actually wants it, so at least getting some information that more likely they'll be able to get sales, the better they can produce the cars that will actually sell at the most optimal price and not needing to move things around maybe because someone else wants it in a different area or it's not the right color, things that take extra steps because that adds up over time, especially across the country. Now, scaling this across the country with major manufacturers will be important as this can make the minimum to even compete, meaning that they're going to rely on pushing network effects in the industry just because if you want to stay relevant, you just have to do it at the minimum. Now, that's to be seen, of course. We know margins are slim and every dollar counts, especially when leveraged over millions of vehicles. And this is just the beginning here because the auto industry has many suppliers, distribution things like trucking cars, and then trickling down to even used dealers and, of course, the online retailers of vehicles. And the whole financing end of things, too, plays a major role. There is so much opportunity for Palantir to be exposed to these different businesses, and this could be through JD Power, who's a more trusted source and has their data sets. So this is kind of an introduction to it. This can push possibly now to more of a stretch, in my opinion, for Foundry and AIP to expand at those businesses, not only just being a customer with JD Power, but that's to be seen. Like I've said for the Japan Electron announcement, if you're able to tie together the raw materials, manufacturers, distributors, and customers, and everyone else, then all of these can work in tandem, making value for everyone also in the process more than if they just did things alone. I know we are a long way from that kind of scenario, but being able to draw parallels between different industries, especially one as large as the automotive one, the possibilities seem to be much larger than even I can imagine on my own. We'll save that for another day and hopefully let the numbers speak for themselves over time if we see any future partnerships that are related. But what are your thoughts on all this? Does this make you excited for JD Power using AIP? Let me know below, and I'll see you in the next video.